Hi everyone, today we're going to be making a double Dutch card similar to this. We're going to be using a different topper because when I made this for the parameters for Craft Roulette on Friday, I didn't think about when I was going to make a video for it to check to see if all this was still available, and none of the things in this topper you can still purchase, so I'm going to use some things that you can still buy. But it's going to be the same exact template and the same everything else. It's just going to have a different topper on top. Now I do have a template and an SVG for this, so if you can cut it out with the with a Cricut or a Cameo, whatever it is you have, you can cut it out, and it has it for letter size and 12 by 12 paper. And then there's also a template if you need to just cut it out, and the same thing, letter size and 12 by 12. So let me get this camera turned around and we will get started. All right, so before we get started, I wanted to show you the template and the SVG. So this here is the template. As you can see, it shows you that the paper is you need 11 by 5. You're going to score it at 4. And then you also need a 3 by 10 that you will score at 2.5 and 7.5. That may sound a little familiar, kind of like a gatefold card. It's just a little short one. And then what you will do is you will take this piece here, will be glued to the bottom of your card. And the two score lines will line up with the side of your card to make the flaps. And that's how this one was made. And once you put your paper here in the middle, you really can't see it. And it's flush in the back because I glued it to the top. I put it on the top. You can put it on the back and then cover it if you want. But once you put it on the front and you put your other papers on here, you really don't see that tiny little seam there. So yeah, so you will cut out 11 by 5, score at 4, a 3 by 10, score it at 2.5, 7.5. This piece here attaches to the bottom down here, and these two score lines match up with the side of the paper, and then that will give you this. All right, choice 2. If you do have 12 by 12 paper, you can cut it out with one piece of 12 by 12. Obviously, this isn't to scale. I had to shrink it down so you can print it out on your computer. So this here will need to be 10 inches across. So let's move this over. This part here is 10 inches. Then it goes up 3 inches. This part is 2.5 on both sides. And then from here to here is 8 inches. From here to here. From here to here is 8 inches. And it is scored at 4. So either way, whatever kind of paper you have, you can use whichever template. Now, if you have access to where you can cut something with an SVG, there's an SVG for both of these also. And obviously that one's going to be to scale. So if you only have 8.5 by 11 paper, or if you have 12-inch paper, here are the two templates or SVGs. They're both going to be there in the Foldopedia at KarenCreatesCards.com to download. Okay. So then we will have our base, which will look like this. So here's our two flaps. So if you were using this, see, that's the piece. So you just glue it across the bottom. All right, so once we have this, then we need to work on the paper that we're going to put here. So I have a page from one of my cake decorating books that I have a digital version of it. So that way I printed it out on Nina card. So I would get a nice blending. So if you have a digital book, then just print out one of the pages and you can print it out on whatever paper you want and get really nice paper. So I'm going to color this with distressed oxides. I have carved pumpkin, faded worn lipstick, and mustard seed. So I'm going to start with just the orange. And I'm going to put a little bit over here. We're going to put a little bit over here. Over here. Over here. Maybe a little bit this way. All right. Pull that off. And I'm using, instead of brushes for this, I'm using the domed tops from Ranger. I got these, and I kind of like them with the oxides. because I didn't want to mix these with my regular inks since they are so different. So since I had these and I needed to use something different anyway, I just decided to use these. Let me load this up a little bit more. All right. Get some down here. Then pull that off. Bring in the mustard seed. And we will go in the middle. Yeah, I think my mustard seed is a very juicy ink pad. And I think it's moister than the other ones. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit more of this pink in here. This worn lipstick over the top. All right, I think that looks good now. So now we'll put all these up here. I'm going to grab a paper towel before I get started. And I'm going to use my misting bottle. And I'm going to mist it a little bit. And let it sit for a moment. And now I'm going to blot. Let's see. I think I'm going to spray it a little bit more over here. I haven't quite mastered the short burst. Let's see. You could also drip it on here. Dab it on with your hand. That works too. There. A little more over here. All right, I think that looks good now. So I'm going to let this dry before I stamp anything on it. So let me put this to the side. So now let's bring in the piece that we're going to put in the center while that dries. So here I have a topper here and then balloons on the bottom. I think I'm going to stamp directly on here this time, because this time I'm using a sentiment that's a little bit bigger. It says, wishing you a special birthday full of fun and celebration. So I'm going to put that up here. Let me get my stamping platform. Now this is a 5x7 card. So this is 3 inches. So this part up here is 4 inches. So we want to make sure this does not come down further than 4 inches, or else it's going to look a little funny when it's on display. So I'm going to take a little ruler out, 4 inches. So we'll just know where our line is. So this will go here. And then for the inside, I'm going to use this stamp set instead. This is from Pink and Maine, because this is still available. And this is called It's Your Birthday. And there's stamps and there's dies. And I'm going to use this today instead, because this is still on their website. So I can put, let's see, I think I will put a present on the bottom. And I think I'll just put the 3 presents. So I have this one, and this one with the polka dots. That one should be in the middle, because those are both tall. I think we'll do it this way. because this is what's going to be showing on the bottom. And maybe I'll put some confetti on here too. Let's see, the confetti's over here. We'll put a little confetti in a couple places. All right. So let's pick this up. All right, I'm going to move this to a different place, the little confetti. Put it over there now. I think I'll put another confetti over here. There we go. All right, put all these back. Right. While we're waiting for the other to dry, I'm going to take some brown to this. This is gathered twig. And I'm going to go lightly around the outside because I'm going to put brown on the rest of it when we cut it. So I want this to match also by having the brown. There we go. So these presents I'm going to color in a little bit. So I have a R05. I have a yellow 3/8 and an R32 that I'm going to use to color these presents real quick. All right, so the inside of the card is now done. Now let's move on to the topper because that still is not quite dry. So to do the topper, I am still going to keep it a circle. So this circle is, I have one with a stitched edge on it, and it is about 3.5 inches across. And this one, which is plain, is about 3.25. And I will add that to what I have in the directions. So I'm going to stamp the cake to put it on here and also put a happy birthday on here. So when I was looking at this, the happy birthday looks pretty good on the top. And then I'm going to put the cake on foam on the bottom. So it will be like this. That's what I'm thinking. All right, so let me get my stamping platform back over here again. All right, so let's stamp this first. Put that on the bottom. I think this has to go up here, and this will be down here. So like that. There we go. That part is done. Move that out of the way. Now I'm going to stamp the birthday cake. Now, if you ever have trouble lining up your stamps, let me make sure I don't have this in backwards. So I went ahead and die cut it out. I think we all know how to do that. I just die cut it out. So now I have the positive and the negative and my stamp. So I have my negative, my leftover piece here. Make sure you need a way to do this. I'm going to put this underneath so it's easier to see, because that white on cream is hard to see. All right, so this is your opening of where your die cut was. So now you can take your stamp, now if you want to, you can even take the stamp, stamp it on there, and look at it and be like, yep, that looks pretty good. I can live with that. All right, so now you put your die cut in here. And this works really well if you're making a lot of the same die cut. That way you're not repositioning your stamp all the time. Just put that in there. Ink this up. Oh yeah, there we go. So see? So if you ever have trouble lining up a stamp, do that. Put a dark color underneath, put this over the top, line up your stamp, and do it that way. And you'll get a nice centered stamp that way. So that cake is done. So I think there is a stamp for the candles flames. I'm just going to draw that in with the yellow. And I think I will color the cake. We'll make it a, might be a little too dark. We'll make it a pink cake. So this will go on foam. Bringing her happy birthday. Now we're going to put a little brown on this too. Let's bring the gathered twig back in. And we're going to go around the edge a little bit. And we're going to go over the cake a little bit. Let's see, we could have colored in the plate. Changed my mind, don't want to leave that white. And just a little bit here and there. Now it's not going to show up very much on this, but I am going to put some on here because this paper is kind of shiny. And it will fill in the little stitched pattern that's on here. All right. Now we will glue this together. And our cake. I'm going to stick a little extra foam on here. I want floppy ends. Nobody likes floppy ends. So I'll put this a little bit on the wonk. All right, and our topper for the card is done. All right, let's see if our paper is dry. Put that up there with the card base. All right, this is pretty much dry. All right, so now I need a stamping block. I will need the party hat and the confetti. And I think that's it. I don't think I'm going to put anything else on here. Let's get our party hat, ink that up. And we'll just start stamping our party hat on here. Different directions, different places. There we go. Now we'll take some confetti. That might be good. I don't think we need any more. All right, I think we're done. All right, we'll put those to the side. So now we need to cut these. Let's look at our temp. Let's see. So now, if this here, let me grab my pencil. All right, so we know this piece here is 5 by 7. So I made the centerpiece 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. That was the part that we did here. Okay. So that means this piece is 5 by 4. So we need a piece that is 4 3/4 by 3 3/4 for here. And then for here, we need a piece that is 2 3/4 by 2 1/4, but we want to make sure that the 3-inch, the 2 3/4 inch, we don't want the words going sideways. So we need to make sure we cut it in the right direction. All right, let me get my paper cutter. All right, now we want to make sure we are cutting this in the right direction. So let's cut this one first. So we're going to go across this way. So we want the words going this way. So we want going across this way to be 5. That's the 5-inch part. So we're going to go 4 3/4 going that way. Let's just start this all over again. All right, so we're going to go 4 3/4. We're going across this way. Then down, we want 3 3/4. Yeah, that is correct. All right, so this part here needs to be the 3 3/4 side, and this is the 4 3/4. And it wouldn't matter if you weren't using writing, but since we're using writing, we don't want the writing going on sideways. All right, so that piece is done. So now we need for the piece for this side. Now this side, it is 3 inches tall. So from here to here, we want that to be the 2 3/4 tall. So we need this paper. All right, so we're going to cut this at 2 3/4. And then we're going to need 2 pieces that are 2 1/4 wide. You know what? I'm going to trim this little edge off so we have words on the end. So 2 1/4. And 2 1/4. All right. And I will write that in the directions all nice and clear. All right, so all we have left to do is to glue all of our pieces together. So let's go ahead and glue this middle part in. Now, this has a little bit of a texture to it, so I'm going to go ahead and use tacky glue. Get that all lined up. Now, if you have a hard time seeing this, you can fold these flaps back to get it in the center. Okay, so now our two flaps. Let's see now if this makes a difference. I don't think so. So this one will go on here. I have this one on this side. Just make sure you don't put your words upside down. Now on this one here, I'm not roughing up the edges like I did on the other one. Just make it a little different so you can see the difference between the two. Here, I'm going to lay this flat so I can see what I'm looking at here. It is kind of funny that the decorations on here are for a cake. I think here it's talking about how to roll out fondant. No, buttercream frosting. It's the directions to make buttercream frosting. It's kind of funny. All right, you know what? I didn't grunge those up, but it's fine because we will do it all at the same time. I think that's good. Maybe a little bit over that yellow. All right, I think that looks good. And again, that was the gathered twigs. So now all that's left is to put this on. And that still looks a little bright. So let's take a little bit more brown to this. Except for around the cake, and it will look like the candles are making that glow. Oops, that might be a little much down there. That'll be fine. All right, so do I want to put that on there, or does that need foam also? I'm thinking that needs a little foam also. Yeah, I got my mega foam here, so might as well use it. And I know you can get these in several places now, these great big giant things of foam. I got this one from Gina K, but I know iCraft, who makes them. They're on Amazon. Pink and Maine has them. A lot of places are now carrying these big, ginormous things of foam. Put a piece there. And we'll put a piece over here. Bring this back up here. Now we'll just take this and center it. There we go. And we are done. So we have happy birthday. Open it up, sending you a special birthday full of fun and celebration with that under there. And when you stand it up, it stands up like this. You know, I think I like that topper better than my original. And it took a lot less time. This took a lot longer. So there the two are. Let me turn the camera around. All right, so we're all finished. So here is the one we just did. And so when that opens up, see if I can do this while holding it behind. It will then sit like this, and the little presents will be seen. This was my original that I did with the balloons on the inside. I really think I like this one better. Yeah, I think I do. So if you like this, well, give me a like and subscribe if you want to know when I'm making other videos. Because that's how YouTube counts everything. And until next time, stay crafty.